No, no, not too much.
But
Hello, good evening, everyone.
good evening.
Good evening, Shailesh. Good evening, Priya.
Good evening, Vineet. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm good. How are you guys?
Thank
All
yeah.
doing good?
everyone.
Good evening, Mrinal. Only 8 participants today. Okay. Yeah. So, guys, what should be the topic for today? Um, Hello.
Will Akhilesh be joining us as well today or no?
I doubt today Akhilesh might not be joining. Not sure because he's traveling. So he might come, but not sure. He said he might not be available. Okay. Good evening, Akash. Good evening, Prashanta.
Hello,
Okay.
Vineet sir.
Hi, good evening,
Hello,
Hi.
Vinit.
everyone.
Good evening. Good evening. Okay. So I was actually planning something for today's session. Um, because in last one or two sessions, I might have seen. Means I'm not exactly remembering whether it was Akhilesh's session or someone else. Someone had asked few queries, and even someone had put a personal chat also to me asking some doubts on Power Query, how different sheets can be combined into one dynamically, and what if the sheet numbers keeps on adding? Um, can it all be combined in one go into one table? That was one query from one person. I don't remember the name exactly. Um, Another person had just simply put a chat. I remember the chat that how the sum if can be achieved in Power Query. So I was trying to create one simple example to show it today. So if it is okay, can I share those examples with you guys?
Yes, please.
Okay. Let me share the file which I'll be using. These are two sample files I had created. Let me share it in the chat. Okay. Hope you all have received this file. Please check your chats. You should be able to see those two files which I have shared just now. Okay. Let me share my screen. Hope you all have received it. If you have received, just say okay in the chat. I think everyone is on mute. So just say okay if you have received it. Good. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. So let me share my screen. Uh, I'm also in India, so to save that bandwidth, I'll just switch off my camera while presenting my screen. Um, Let me share my screen first over here. Yeah. Let me hide this. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Let me share this data content first. It's a simple file which I created just for creating that sample. I have this sheet one with some data. Okay. Some serial number, date, amount. I also have another sheet with few more data. Okay. So the query was actually if they have the Jan month, Feb month, and March, April, like that. If they have multiple sheets for each month, then how they can combine everything into one. Or if in case if one sheet contains multiple months and the other sheet, other individual months information they can be combined. I said both are actually similar case. So we will just see how we can combine these three sheets into one single table. And then later on, we will try to tweak some uh, columns over here and check if it can pick dynamically any new columns which is being added to our list. Okay. So, so these are the three sheets data. Let's bring this information into Power BI first. So let me close this file and I'll bring this file from Excel workbook data. You all can speak, okay? So no need to be on mute. All can share your ideas, okay, and suggestions, anything. If there is anything, let me know. Okay. So
Hi, Vineet sir. I have one question. If
yeah,
the format of the three sheets are not same,
mm, yeah. Then in that case, also
then
we can actually format in the sense is are you talking about the columns are different or you're
yes,
saying that
yes,
the
some like in one sheet there is three columns and other sheets are four and
four
other
columns? Okay, so
yes,
I'll try to touch that case also. Okay, so I'll show you that. So
yes,
let me first let me bring in this Excel file. So let's say this is my data sheet and open. So we all know that it will give you a pop-up for selecting. Forget about this. These were some test ranges which were created, but these are the sheets which we want to focus on. So we know that if we click all these three, what will happen? Guys, please speak. Whatsoever comes to your mind, or if you already have tried something similar to it, please
It
let me know.
it will load these sheets into Power Query.
Uh, okay, it will load these sheets into Power Query. If I click on load, these three will be into one single table, or it will be three different tables.
Three
Let's
different
see.
There will be three
tables.
different tables.
Correct.
So we
Three, it will be
transform.
three different tables. If we
Yeah,
simply say transform data also, it will be in the three different
three
tables.
different tables.
And then we know that if it comes in three different tables, let's see that also, so that we don't leave anything in doubts. If we select transform data, we know that okay, these three are coming in three separate sheets or separate tables. Then we know one approach which we have learned so far is to combine all these three into one. Is what?
Yeah,
Which approach can we
append,
use to
append.
combine? Append. Very good, very good. So these three can be appended using the append queries. Okay. So one approach we know already, that uh, all the sheets can be brought in into the table and then we can combine it. What in future we will have a few more sheets added to the same workbook. First of all, we need to bring them all in the Power Query, and then we need to add them into the append query, right? So we
Right.
want a solution where actually we can combine all these three dynamically into one. And tomorrow, if someone adds two more sheets with the same structure, it should automatically get combined. Okay, so we should not have a requirement of opening the Power Query and then combining it again. So let me close
Vineet,
this. I will.
I have one question over here.
Yeah, yeah.
As suppose there is a three columns are there. Maybe next sheet having the four column and maybe 5 or 10 column will be there. But I need to
I will.
select only three columns. So can I merge it? Can I take it only three column and append it?
Yeah, I will try to solve that issue also. Okay, like
Okay.
the only columns which we are planning to have in our uh, means our list. Okay, so that can also be done. That can also be done. Or dynamically, if you want to bring in any additional columns which comes into another file, if that needs to be brought in, that can also be done. Because by default, if you want only particular columns, you can select it. Hard coding is very simple. That I will show you. Right. So let's
Okay.
do it step by step.
Right.
Yeah. So here, let me discard the case, not now, and discard changes. Discard. Let me bring in the Excel file once again. Open and soon, if you are trying this Power Query in Excel, you might be able to select this folder itself directly. Okay, so here it
Okay.
doesn't get selected by default. Um, so you have to select either one of the sheets in the beginning to start with. Then we can customize it. So I'm selecting the sheet one. Okay, and I don't want sheet two, sheet three separately to be loaded into my model. So I'm just selecting sheet one for now because I want this data to be get enabled, because once I select this, it is not getting enabled. But in Power Query, if you're trying in Excel, it will get selected. So let me select sheet one, any sheet. Okay, randomly I'm just selecting one sheet and then selecting transform data. So by doing it, automatically it loads the entire data of that sheet. It actually promotes the headers, everything it is doing by itself. Okay, so which I don't want. I actually want to combine the other two sheets or the remaining sheets in the Excel workbook also to this table. For that, what I will do is I will go back to my previous step, promoted headers. So I will delete this step. Promoted headers is also I don't want. Navigation is again, it is only for the sheet one. I want to go back to my previous step. So here is the source. So first step. So I
Okay.
deleted all other steps. And when I went to my first step, I could see all the sheets. Sheet one, sheet two, sheet three. If there is any name range, any hidden sheet, anything else, tables or anything, it will also list up over here. Now, from this step, I will filter only the sheets which I'm looking for. So I'll say the kind is I'm selecting only sheets. So it will give me only the 3 sheets which is available. Tomorrow, if there is any other sheet added to the system, that will also automatically appear in our sheet list. Now, once we have this over here, you can see this data is already showing up your content in every sheet. Content in every sheet. Content in every sheet. So this is what we are interested in actually, right? We want
Right.
to combine this. So let's go step by step. Let me only take this data column, remove all others. Okay, and one approach we know, which is very simple, is using this expanding the columns. So let's click on it, and we have this column 1, column 2, column 3. Okay, so if there, for example, if we have more columns, we can click on load more and we can select all those columns which are there, and then let's say okay, and it will load up all the data into one table. Then the next step,
But,
we know.
sorry, one question.
Yeah. Hmm.
You have previously you have unticked the last box. Why you untick
Okay.
if the
Okay.
thing is
Yeah. Here, see, no, sorry. Here, when I'm expanding it, so this last
yes.
checkbox, this was actually using original column name as prefix. That means the column names which would be extracted, for example, column 1, column 2, column 3, they will come up with a prefix called data.column1, data.column2, data.column3. Let's see it. So here, see data.column1, data.column2, data.column3. So we don't want that prefix. That's why we unselected that checkbox.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. So even if you forgot to do that, you can still go back to this gear icon. You can go back to this gear icon. You can see that I don't want this prefix. You can remove this from here. Where we here in the expand data. Guys, those who are not asking any question can mute your mic. Yeah. Okay, so expanded data, and we say we don't want this prefix and say okay. So we get this column 1, column 2, column 3 over here. Now we know that we usually do the promote first row as header, but again, since the data is very less, we can see it in one screen itself that every sheet is having its own headers, right? There are various approaches to do that. For example, here, first step is I do the promote headers over here. So in the home tab, you can click on this use first row as header, or here also we have this use first row as headers. So you can do that. You can select the data type for each column by selecting all the columns under the transform and detect data type. And the moment you do that, actually it cannot do it because it can actually also see this as number, which is a text, which is a date, this is amount, which is actually not a numeric value, and it is not a date value. It is not a numeric. So again, it is a text. So it cannot convert it into any text or numeric value. So what we can do is, if the change data type has already converted into a particular data type, for example, if I manually do it to a number, whole number, and this as also a whole number decimal, and this as a date, then I'll get these rows as error, right?
Yes. Yes.
I'll come to your previous steps again, but these are some errors because these are the headers of other files, other sheets, which it cannot convert into proper data types. So one option is you can go to home, you can say remove rows with errors. Okay, not always safe because you see only first 1,000 rows over here. So you may not be knowing if your file size is millions of rows, what all rows will get deleted. Sometimes it would be a mistake from your steps, or some important rows can also get deleted because of this remove errors. But here in this case, if I click on this remove errors, it will clear those 2 rows. So we are safe.
But
Okay,
here
there are some
error
null.
can be other row also having error might be possible apart from Other
Correct.
error will be there.
Correct. That's what I'm saying. So it is not always safe to go for this remove errors, because right now it is only few records. But imagine if the records are too big and you are not seeing all the records. So remove errors may not be always safe.
Okay.
Okay. So, but this is one case you cleared it, but we will not go by that.
It is a small
Second
data.
option is, yeah, this is a small data. That's why. So second option is what you are already seeing it over here. So I'm not going to change type. Instead, I will say that from all this list, if I unselect this S number, or
Mm.
if I select from this column date, if I unselect this date column or date text, it will automatically filter up all the header columns in any other sheets.
Right.
So that is second approach,
Mm.
right? So these two approaches, we know it is simple and common that we go and filter it up. But again, sometimes when you filter it, the date column may not appear because in the first sheet itself you have say 2000 rows of dates. So maybe the date may not appear of the next sheet. Okay. So there are cases where you cannot directly see all the values in this select list. So you might see load more option, and if that comes within that 1000 rows range, you might see it and you can filter it out. So instead of that, if in case you don't see those columns where the unique values are too big and you cannot see the which value needs to be filtered out exactly, in such cases, what we can do is instead of filtering out by this way, we can go to, I'm going to previous step. Okay, so here instead of this, okay, let's expand this data, but here, no, here also I will remove this. So, and again, going back to over here. So here you can see that there is table with header coming as a row. Here also there is a table coming with header as a row. Here also header as a row. What I can do is I can add a column, next column over here. See, go to add column, custom column. Okay, and under the custom column, I'll say table dot promote headers. Table dot promote headers. You have to be careful. This is M language, so it is case sensitive. So table dot promote headers bracket. It is asking a table. So what we can do, we can say the data column as table and say, so table dot promote headers. I will show you this formula once again, but let's see if it works. So when I do it, it again adds a new column over here. Same table here, you can see the serial numbers are coming like this as a row, but this time here in this column, the first row is taken as your header. Here also, first row is taken as your header. Here also, first row is taken as your header. So you don't need to rely on this tables and then promoting the first row as header and then filtering out the other sheets headers. So you don't need to go for that headache. You can simply go for this table. I can say remove all other columns and expand this and say OK. So no headache.
I have
So
one
all
question
is,
over here.
yeah,
This will be in case of only if the all sheet having the same type of like a column. If it is
yeah.
different type of columns or multiple columns will be there. So then can we filter it out over there?
Yeah. For example, yeah, I'll come to that again. Yeah. So, so this is one approach where you can actually bring in the table using the table dot promote headers. And another example is even if you don't come here, you have an option over here in the source file itself. When you see this function, excel.workbook, those who have attended the previous session of mine, I might have explained that in when you pass this into this Excel workbook, the first parameter is your binary parameter. Second parameter is use headers. You can see that the second parameter is use headers, which is
Yes.
actually by default as null. If you say yes, use headers as true, okay, use headers as true, then if you come to this column itself, you'll find that the headers is already set in this data column itself. You don't need that promote headers separately to be added over here. So you can avoid that step also. So there is a function, but mostly people it's a what you say a non-mandatory field or an optional parameter. So people skip it. So if instead of null, if you give it true, it will automatically take it and it can actually avoid the further steps mistake, which people might forget to exclude the headers of other sheets, can be corrected here itself. Else, if you forget to do that, no problem. We can still use the table.promote headers function, this function, table.promote headers to promote the sheet columns. Okay,
Okay.
that is one approach. Now, by doing this approach, what will happen is, see here, if I expand this over here, I expand table. Okay, something has gone wrong. Let me, okay, because I have already done the true there, so we don't need this added custom over here. So we use this column only and remove other columns and expand this and say okay. So this becomes a static column. Static column list means now you have a serial number, you have your date, you have your amount. You can even filter out your null values if any null values or blank values. Okay, so you get the exact figures. Now, by doing this step, tomorrow, even if you have a new column, for example, in the data column, let's say in the uh, uh, let's say in the sheet 2 or even sheet 1, let's say see sh column 1. Okay, I have added one more column here. Let's say I put some values and save. It's only in the sheet 1, not in sheet 2 or not in sheet 3. Okay, let me close this. Now, if I come over here and refresh my preview, still I'm seeing only this serial number, date, and amount. I'm not seeing the third column, even though my Excel sheet, one of the Excel sheet has the new column, right? Why? Because even in the expanded data, we have selected that we only want this 3 column. It is fixed. So tomorrow, even if any of the sheet has new columns, it will not add up over here by default. That is the first case. Okay, so irrespective of any new column added in any new sheet, we will not be able to see them. But what if I actually want to load the new column also? If the scenario is different, means I want to add the new column also. If there is any new column, I actually want to add that column also. In that case, we cannot directly add it unless we go to this expand data. In the expand data, you will see that if I click on this gear icon, there is a new column, SH column 1, which was not selected previously. So I have to come here and manually select it, and then only it will come. And our agenda or our purpose is to avoid maximum manual efforts. So tomorrow again, if some other sheet contains another column, it will appear here, but we need to go to the expand data and then select that new column, because by default it will not appear. So now it is added over here, that's why it is appearing. Otherwise it wouldn't appear, right? So then what is the solution for that? The solution is, again, you all got my point, right? What I'm saying.
Right, right.
Yes, yes.
Okay, so now here we have got this 3 columns, and the 4th column is got added over here by manually by selecting this gear icon and selecting this the last column. So even if you have few more columns, we need to manually select them. So let's avoid this step. To avoid that step, what we can do is let's delete this expanded data. We will not rely on this expanding this column and then saying the serial number, date, amount, and SSG column 1. So we will not go by this step. Instead, what we will do is we will create a new step manually and we write a function. So what will we do? Let's click on this fx. This fx will actually add a new step after this. So we have selected this. This is the last step. And then let's click on this fx and it will add a new step. And see, this add step is actually referring the previous step. Previous step is removed other columns. So that is the name of this step, removed other columns. From this removed other columns, what do you want? I actually want to combine the tables, these three tables. See these three, let me select, see, this is the table 1, table 2, table 3. So all this table I want to combine. So I'll write a mQuery function, table dot combine, and table dot combine. See, the moment I put a bracket, it's taking tables as list. So if I just simply say remove other columns, it is actually returning a table. Okay, so now let me put the column name also here, that I actually want this tables data column, and then bracket close, and then say enter. So now you automatically got all this. Instead of we manually expanding all the columns, now it has already expanded all of your columns. Okay, irrespective of whichever sheet contains whatever column. So tomorrow, let me open the file, and let's come to sheet 3, and here column 02 gets added in sheet 3, and let me save it here, close it, come back to my Excel, this Power Query. If I simply refresh, it come. I didn't put any values, that's why it is showing you all null, but otherwise this column is automatically reflecting over here. So now we are including that hard-coded values of all the column names which needs to be extracted. So irrespective of whatever sheet contains whatever columns, we can, if the column names matches, it will combine. If the column name doesn't match, it will add it as a new column. Okay. Now, is this clear? So what did we use? We use simply from this step, instead of using this default option, with most of the default options in Power Query will be hard-coded values. So if you want to make it dynamic, we can use some functions of M, and we can make them dynamic. So here, instead of using this double arrow mark and selecting all this and saying okay, so what it was doing is actually it was hard coding all the values, columns, and we are only it means we are actually left with only those static columns. If any future new columns are added in any of the sheets, we will miss them out. But by using this table dot combine, the table dot combine, to actually dynamically add up all the columns of all the tables in all the sheets, and then dynamically merge them or append them, you can say, into one table. So this table dot combine is powerful and dynamic. So you don't need to every time come to Power Query and refresh or then edit this gear icon and then select the missed columns. So you don't need to go for that headache. It can automatically combine everything in one go.
Yes,
Is it
great.
clear?
Yes.
Good. So you can note this down, and these are something which is always used. Yeah. So table.combine is a function, and again, it is always case sensitive. Whatever you write on this fx is all case sensitive, so you have to be very careful. Otherwise, simple, it will just throw out an error. So if we put the C small and say okay, so it will just throw up an error that table.combine wasn't recognized. So it's important to have this syntax to be put correctly. Now what, again here, one more query means we can actually try something different over here. But what if I actually want to, sorry, I didn't get the, someone was asking something. If someone has put your mic, can you, I think the echo is coming up. Okay, fine. So now, the next step is, what if I actually want to see which data is coming from which sheet? If I want to have a sheet column also over here, then how will I be able to do that? because here, even if I retain the, say from this filtered rows, I have this sheet name. So if I actually, instead of removing all the columns, if I retain the name column also, remove other columns apart from data, and if I retain, for example, name also still, if I go back over here, no, here is the name column. So if I add up the name column over here, so I have the sheet name here, and then the data column. These two I'm retaining, and all others I have removed. But then when I'm using this table.combine, is only using this data of that current sheet, means the current column, this column. It is excluding the sheet name actually, right? It is excluding the sheet name, and it is not considering the uh, it is not considering this column name, which is the sheet name, and it is only taking my dynamic content of the columns. So then what can I do to retain my dynamic column list as well as my sheet name column also? For that, approach could be, there could be multiple ways of doing it, but one approach, one of them is, means which I think is, if I get the unique column names of all this, okay, if I get the unique column names of all this tables, and then dynamically use them, and dynamically use them for this in this step, then actually I can actually have this column as well as this column. But what I'm actually saying is, here table.combine is actually combining everything. So if I don't combine all the columns here, then if I just select the column names, table dot column names from this combined table, it will give me all the unique column names in all the tables. So this table.column names from this combined table data will actually select only, and it is not a table, it is just a list. You can see the icon got changed to list. So this will give you only the required columns, means all the unique columns which it can identify from all the tables, okay, from all the sheets, you can say. Now this is the dynamic list. Tomorrow, if I add another column over here, and this is actually CC here, if I say column 04, okay, and let's close this file, come over here, uh, and if I go to refresh this preview, so you can see that now column 4 is got also added. So now all the unique list will automatically appear over here in this list. So, and this is coming in our last step. So our journey is not yet over. What I can do is I can rename this step, and I can say this is my, it's not mandatory to rename the list step, but I'm just saying column list. I'm just saying column list, column list. Now, this is my unique column list. Fine. And if I go back to the previous step, this is my table list. This is my normal list, right? So this is my sheet names as well as my data table with all the data content. But when I expand it, automatically I lose the names. So what I will do is, after this column list, I cannot do the, sorry, I accidentally deleted it. So let me create that once again.
There is no option of undo.
No, there's no undo. You can save it and save and load, then it will retain. Otherwise, there's no undo here. So let's say this is my column list, and what is the table dot column names, table dot column names, table dot combine, table dot combine. What was that? Hash. Remove
other column.
other columns and that data tab. No syntax errors. Okay. Okay, so this is my, and okay, let me add it as a new step. So I'll use this Control C. Okay, and fx will be added as a new list because I want to save it as a new list, new step. Control X, escape. Here we go, and here fx. Table dot add column. No, table dot combine, table dot column names, table dot combine this, and let me remove this. Okay, perfect. So this is my unique list, and I rename it to column list. Perfect. So this is my column list. Let me hide this bar. Add this. Okay. Now I can go back to my previous step. This is my previous step. So what I will do is I click on add new step, and instead of referring the column list, I will refer my hash removed other columns. Hash removed other columns. Okay, you can actually switch because everything is linked. I had shown it in my previous sessions that you can see that in the advanced data, every step is linked. This is the first step source, and this step is referred here. Okay, so it is linked. So the next step is actually linked with the previous step. And then here is the next step, which is actually linked with filter row step. So here is your filter rows. Then your column list, it is actually linked with this removed other columns, So it is not mandatory to link the just previous step only. You can link it with the 2 steps before, 3 steps ahead, or means any step can be referred at any stage. You cannot refer the steps which is coming after it. Yeah,
Immediate previous.
usually immediate previous is by default it is there, but you can refer your old steps also, not which is not immediate previous step. Okay, so what same thing is what we are trying over here also. So here I'm going to refer this removed other columns, which is actually not my previous step. It is the previous step. So here we got this step, and now what I'm trying to do is here already have this sheet name column and the data column, and I'm going with my previous approach. The previous approach is what? By clicking on this double arrow mark and extracting all the columns. But we know, sir, there are some drawbacks that these columns will not be dynamic. But still, let me try this. So I'm trying this, and by doing this, what I'm doing is I'm retaining my sheet names. I'm retaining my sheet names as well as all the columns. But I will still face the challenge that if there is any new columns added, it will not be coming up over here. So let's understand this step. So here I have retained my sheet name column and then expanded the other columns. But other columns, what it is doing, it is actually hard coding all this column list, and then same column list is repeated over here. What is this next step? Basically, it is saying that these are the columns which is found in this list. Okay, and from this list, actually, if you want to rename these 4 or 5 columns, then you can rename it in this step. So for example, if here if I say, you can see S number, if I say S number 1, So this will become S number 1. So if I want to change the column date to DT, I'm actually using those previous sheet headers only, but I'm renaming them here. If I want to rename them, I can rename them here over here. So this is completely optional step. It's not mandatory. So even if I don't rely on this step, if I completely remove this step over here, then also I'm perfectly okay. I will retain all these column names and I am okay. There is no errors. But my motto is not over yet. I actually want the dynamic column list instead of these columns coming up over here. You can see that SH column 1 and call 04 are appearing, but the other column 02 is not appearing over here. Okay, it is not being identified over here. But in my dynamic column list, if I go back to my previous list, dynamic column list, which is a list column, here I have SH column 1, SH column 04, then column 02. All this unique column list is there with me. So what I can do is under this expanded column, instead of this hard-coded list, I can refer my column list step over here. Column list, which is my dynamic column list. And if I say enter, you will see all the columns. And this is dynamic as well as you are retaining your sheet names also over here. Some simple tricks in M and you can retain all of them dynamically. This last part might be little bit complex for some of you, but if you understand what we were doing is we actually combined all the column names from all the tables using this table dot column names from this table dot combine data. And this we have already seen this table dot combine data will dynamically combine all the columns of all the sheets with all the headers properly. So we were extracting all the column names. So we were okay if we don't want the sheet names or any other column along with us, then we could have directly gone with this. If there is a requirement like I actually want to retain my sheet names also, then what I can do is actually in my previous step, I already have that sheet names. Those sheet name column, I actually want to retain when I expand this data column. So I added a new custom column and with this custom column is referring the previous step, removed other columns. So this step is what being referred. Or we can rename it instead of remove other columns, you can name it to something else and then I mean for an easy reference. So I'm referring there, this removed other columns. And from here, did the manual expansion of these columns. And from this manual expansion of these columns, that column list, I removed it entirely from that parameter. And I used my dynamic column list from my previous step, which is I have already extracted over here in this step column list. Same column list name is being given over here. And it automatically gives me the sheet name as well as my dynamic column list. So these are some simple tricks which you can apply for multiple sheets. Even this step switching can do even cleaning of any sheet 1, sheet 2, sheet 3 data and then joining them or appending them within this query itself. You can merge 2 steps. You can append 2 steps. Okay, so all these are part of Power Query. So comes in little advanced, but these are some tricks which you can do and you can combine everything in one go. Was this useful?
Yes, very
Yes, very
useful.
much.
Yeah, I will
Vineet, I
share.
have a question here.
Yeah. Yep, sure.
This removed other columns is there on the applied steps, right? That we had renamed it, or it is a default
Then
caption that comes.
by default, we had
Removed
this
other
steps.
columns.
Yeah, we had this step, and then let's say I select this sheet name, and then I want my data column. These two I want to retain. I want to remove all other columns. So when I right click and say remove columns or remove other columns, automatically this step gets created.
Okay,
This is
okay,
the
okay.
default naming, but every time you can actually rename it to whatever name you prefer. So easy reference that what you are doing, you can easily refer that.
Okay. I have one question here, Vineet.
Yeah.
We are talking about a single file having
Mm.
3 sheets. So, can we have multiple Excel files Having
Hmm.
multiple sheets, same scenario.
Yes, same scenario can be done. There would be more steps, but yes, you can combine all of them in one go. And
Okay.
again,
Okay.
uh, that will take another 1 hour, means
That's
exercise.
okay. That's
Will
okay. I just
Yeah,
wanted to understand. No need of
but
now. It's
possible,
okay.
but possible.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay,
Okay.
and
Vinith.
even in one more thing, I'll just want to add to your query. If again, if it is a static one file also, and in one file, uh, if you have multiple sheets and those multiple sheets contain some that means irregular structure. For example, you have some four blank rows at the top, some headings and something in sheet one, but sheet two is different. Sheet two is having only two rows blank or something, some different headers. In such cases, also you can apply those cleanings and you can create here in the add column. You can see this function invoke custom functions. So this custom functions can be used, and you can clean up all those sheets in one go and then append it at the end. But that happens when it is actually uh, static files. Like every time you get similar type of data for two or three different sheets and you want to combine all these three different sheets, all that is possible. Plus the one which you were saying that you have multiple workbook and every workbook contains multiple sheets, but you want to combine all of them in one go.
Okay, Vinith. Now, I understand that this Power Query editor is very useful. We have to just know the logic, how to do, and
Yeah.
we have to understand that query, what
Yeah.
parameters, how it is passing, what are the values. So, what will be the best way to master it? Because now it looks like too much of a technical coding.
Huh.
So slowly we have to start, right? So how to do that?
See, it is like in Excel also you have a lot of functions, but we use only few, say, out of this 400 or 500 functions, we might use 30 to 40 functions which are most commonly used, right? So here also there's a big list of functions in M, but me and even I also don't know all the functions, but most commonly used functions are these functions which we have seen. This table dot select columns, table dot combine, table dot column combine column names. So these are some most common functions which are in use, and as and when any requirement comes, we actually look for some functions if it is already available. And I actually refer this learn.microsoft.com where you will get all the functions list and everything in detail. So even for anything which you want to refer, you can actually go and look for it. For Power Query, you can
Okay.
look for the topics and for the functions. So you can Google it first, then you can look for some similar type of examples. But you can say even 10 to 15 functions would be most commonly used functions in Power Query, and we would require only those. But again, uh, as I said, if particular requirement comes, we can explore few more functions as well. But I don't think it would be reasonable to study all the functions in M.
Right. Vinith, when you have time, is it
Yeah.
possible for you to just collect some important functions, like 15, 20
Uh,
functions, what we
I
use
will share
normally,
those. Yeah,
and
yeah,
just give a description what it will do? Then slowly we can start, practicing on those first.
yeah. At
Once when
least
we master
I will
that, we can take some additional list.
I'll collect the commonly used functions list first. Okay, even if you get the list of those functions, even you can put it on the chat GPT to get the definitions of it. But I
Okay.
will
Okay.
collect all
Wonderful.
the corrections which I
Right.
have used so far. But again, apart from what I have used in different projects, you might see a few more functions might be useful. But at least those which I have used, I will collect those and I will put that share it with
So,
everyone.
yeah, in order to get just get familiar with these, you would you suggest that we have to daily practice at
Yeah,
least
yeah,
1 hour
yeah.
or something like that? We have to be constantly in touch
Yeah,
with this,
means
right?
more into means I would say the time which actually takes it's more in the cleaning part. So I spend most of my time on Power Query, and then the data modeling part. Then comes to the DAC. So because those are the main areas where we need to spend more time. Because if your model is simple, the DAX becomes simple. If you're writing complex DAX functions, that means either there are some gaps in your model, or you can still optimize your model further, so that you can actually simplify your DAX functions. So once those are done, then the visuals are, means I feel that they are not that complicated. But still, visualization is again it's a next level. Means you can do a lot more in the visuals. But these are the main core area which I usually focus on.
Right. Uh, so which tutorial we should follow if we are a beginner? Slowly it'll take us through the functions, slowly
At
it'll
least
guide us. You have to
recorded
do,
videos you can first refer.
okay,
You can complete that
okay,
first. So they
okay,
will cover the majority part of it. But then you can deep dive
okay,
into these functions, and we all will share one or other stuffs in every this workshops.
okay, great. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, yeah, you're welcome. So guys, I wanted to show you that SumIf also. Can we go with that? We have few minutes only, but still, can we go
Yeah,
with that?
Vinith, I have a one question regarding this table.
Yeah,
Now there are null columns, right? Can you
yeah,
just expand the table?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Now there are certain rows which is
Mm,
null, because now
mm.
if you filter null, all those rows will be disappear. Correct?
Correct.
Now there are cases where you can
Mm.
see null in the top as well. How do you remove those nulls? Like, because if you remove the column number
Mm.
5 nulls,
Mm.
then
See,
you're going to
if
lose the other
everything
data.
is null, if everything is null, it's a totally blank row.
Yes, that I understand. But there are
Uh,
certain rows which is null and there is a values or data is there. So those cases, what you going to
There,
do? Because
okay.
normally when I
Let,
practice, I'm just
uh,
replacing the values from null to 0.
okay. Let me understand what your query is. You're saying that okay here, for example, here imagine it is a sheet name now right now, but it is in use important information, but we are
Correct.
not seeing it, and we simply see this null values and we filter this out, right? So
Correct.
they're losing that information. That's what you're saying, right?
Yeah, you can take an example of 1, 2, 3, 4, fourth row. See sheet column 1. There is a null in the sheet column 1 and the amount there is amount. So if you take this filter null, then your amount you will lose the amount as well. So this case is what I want to know.
Come
1,
again.
2,
Let me
3, 4,
let's go
5.
step by step. So which row?
5, fifth column.
Fifth row. Fifth
Yeah, fifth.
column.
Correct. Yeah, same.
Three,
Fifth
four.
row is.
Fifth column is this, right?
Yeah.
Fifth column is this, and
Now you
now
cannot filter null because otherwise it.
definitely yes. I cannot filter
Correct.
null.
Yes.
Correct. So these
Uh,
cases, what you
so
do?
we have to, I
Okay,
think we have
and
to see the null value in all the columns, all these column cells, right?
see. Okay, for example, let me keep this null as it is, and let me load this data. Okay, so let me load this data. Okay, so it is actually creating this blanks over here, but you are actually saying that uh, you don't want to see blanks over here or something, or you want to replace nulls with something else.
No, I don't want to replace
Uh,
anything null. Because on the column you can still say it's not complete 100%. It shows like incomplete.
Wherever
If you
the
go back to
uh,
query,
uh, yeah.
Vinith, what he's trying to ask is, he's
Mm.
asking, like, is there any function or something which will identify if
Mm.
only if all columns are null, to remove it, something like that, it should
Is the,
recognize if all columns are null, then that should be removed.
okay, or if the all columns are null, the one option is we can
Yes.
transpose everything. Okay, we can transpose the entire table.
sorry, that I understood, but let's,
Uh,
that's what I'm saying.
He,
You can only reference take column number
yes.
fifth,
mm.
fifth column.
Darwin is Sharvin is saying if the value sh call 1 and row number 5, and if we filter out the null, so the value left 5,000 or 6,000. 6,000 is removed, but we need data of 6,000.
So definitely you should retain it. Only nulls can be, see, nulls are not creating any issues as of now. But only thing is, if the entire row is blank, we can remove it. Or if those are of no use, for example, in this case, I have only my sheet names over here in this column, but all these rows are actually having null values. So I know that these are of no use for me. I can filter it out. So again, whatever data which you are actually loading into this model, we need to be familiar with that data. But again, as you said, if it is big in size, 1 million, 10 million records, you may not be knowing everything like about every row. But in such cases, means whatever you can clean up, you can clean it up, which you are sure that this needs to be excluded. But wherever you are not sure, let it be there, load it. And when you load it, if something goes wrong with any of your step, it will actually create you and give you an error with the list that this many rows failed with the steps which you have done. So you can come back, and those list will be actually extracted list from those 10 million rows. So you might get 30, 50 or 100 or 400 rows with only the erroneous data. And then you can check what is the data, what is creating problem for me. And then you go do a fix on your main query and then run it again. So maybe out of this 400, you will get 100 less. But on now only 200, 250 records is having issues. Check that 250. So then step by step after debugging, you can actually fix it up. So that's how we normally do.
Yeah,
So
but when Aglesh was teaching the class, he said each column where you see the green and the red, you know, so if you see red something, that means there is some error. Because
that is
then
definitely yes. But again, here you can see column profiling based on only 1000 rows. Even if you see entirely green, it is only based on that first 1000 rows profiling. If your data set is more than 1000, it will not give you here the red error. And that is given in my last live Power BI class. It was actually shown that if you combine it, everything was showing okay here. But the moment you load it, at the time of loading, you are getting the error because that first 1000 rows is not showing any error and everything was green over here. But
okay.
when it reaches the records after 1000, you cannot rely every time on the what you're seeing in the screen of Power Query. Only when you load it entirely into your model, at that time, if there is no error, no issues, everything is perfect. At that time, if you get an error, that means needs to be fixed. So it could be unique errors, different type of errors. Could be data type conversions, maybe something else. Like there are very unique errors I have seen, like some NAs or something, or hash errors or something which comes from Excel, and they are not cannot be replaced even from the text replace. So there
Yeah.
are different options to remove errors itself, or means at that time you can use them here in the replace also. You have your replace errors from the columns. So
Mm.
at that stages you can use these kind of stuffs.
Yeah, most of the cases, my case, like when I was doing some practice, the null, it shows me error. Then if I change
Okay.
that null value to 0, because those nulls are 0, yeah, in the
Okay.
original data where I pull the data, it's a 0. But
Okay.
since it's not complete, still it was showing, when I load it, it was showing an error. So if
If you
I
can,
replace it to
if it's
0,
not
then it's fine.
confidential data, similar example, you can share it up maybe in next time. We can see if there is some other approaches can be done on those. We can try it up. Okay,
Sure.
by default, whenever if it is coming as a null as a text, then that could be a different scenario. But let's see, means how the data
Yeah,
comes.
sure.
If you
I'll maybe by next session or something, I will check
sure,
it if
sure,
I find anything.
yeah,
Yeah.
sure. If it is confidential, just put some random values in other columns and
Yeah, yeah.
extract few
Yeah,
rows,
that's
and then
fine.
we'll see.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah,
That's okay. Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
let's see that.
And there are cases in the dates.
Yeah,
When I pull from Power Query,
yeah.
okay, before that, what is the easiest method? Priya
Mm.
asked earlier. what is the easiest method to clean up the data from the Excel to Power Query through Excel, or you pull it, you fetch it to Power BI and go to Power Query and clean up.
Always, as a standard, always bring it into Power Query first. Even if it is a clean data, still bring it into Power Query, double check it, then load it.
Your Power Query you can do in the Excel itself. You don't need to bring it to Power BI, correct? Because there is two option on Power Query. One is in Excel itself, you can clean up with the Power
Ah,
Query, or
yeah,
you
but
bring it in the Power BI.
why to do the additional step? Do it here itself.
Okay.
In the Power BI Power Query window itself, you do it.
Because I was facing the issue when I do it in Excel,
Uh-huh.
it creates your, because it's not a cleaner data. You're pulling it from some other software. So there are
Okay.
like a column missing this, that.
Okay, if you're
Then,
directly pulling it from an external source in your Excel file itself, and for that you're already using the Power Query of Excel, then do it the cleaning there itself. No problem, no issues. I thought the existing data you will clean it in the Excel Power Query, then load it into Power BI.
no, no,
No, means
it is from external. But
then
then
do
it
all the steps there itself. Then it will be clean data there itself.
then it create as a different sheet, right? When you do it in a Power Query, because you will still
Yeah.
you will have the original sheet where you pull where you have the Excel, and when you clean up, it will create as a different sheet.
See, multiple options are over there in Excel also. When you clean it and then you actually close and load, actually there are options where you only want to retain it as a connection. When you retain it as a connection, then in Excel itself you have an option to make it a model. So entire model can be created in Excel also. But I
Yeah,
would recommend to create it in here, because once you create the model in Excel, the entire model can be imported to your Power BI. Okay,
yeah,
everything will remain same. Every Power Query steps, everything would be there, but you can bring in the entire model into Power BI. But I have personally felt, because in some Excel models which I have worked on, I felt in Power BI it is much more smooth, the
yes, sir.
journey, because in Excel, when you are opening this Power Query editor window, then your Excel is stuck. You cannot
True.
work on the Excel files. Any new Excel file also you cannot open it.
Yeah, I
Once
faced that
unless
issue.
you
Yeah,
unless you close this Power Query editor window. So here you will
yeah,
not face that challenge. You can parallelly work on it. Anything if you want to clean it or update something on that. So I feel Power BI Power Query editor would be better to have that. Yeah.
because why I was doing it, if I need to add tomorrow additional data into the actual Excel, which I wanted to keep it, and I want to add it there, because if I
Uh-huh.
add it there, I don't need to do anything in the Power BI, only need to refresh it. So it will
Oh, okay.
show,
Okay.
let's say this is May, I mean June, and then next July, I only need to add July. Then I will have au- automatically data will fetch it for July, you know, monthly
Okay.
basis.
Understood.
Yeah, I mean
Mm-hmm.
that was the case. Yeah.
Yeah. That is also okay. Perfectly okay. Okay. So,
Yeah.
guys, sum if function. Shall we continue it in the next class?
If you have
Sum.
time, I have one doubt on one of
Yeah. Yeah.
my Power BI where I can
Sure.
share my screen, because
Go
I
ahead and
was
please.
trying to identify last day, which I was not
Uh,
able to do it.
Let me stop sharing. Yeah.
Okay, let me just open it. Uh, can you see?
Yeah. Yeah. I can see.
Just a second. Oh my God, did I do? You can see my
Yeah.
screen?
Yeah. We can see the screen. Yes.
Well, I lost. A second. Sorry, I cannot see my screen.
Mhm.
I can see here. We need.
You can. Okay.
Sorry, I'm just stop sharing
No
and
problem.
doing it
Yeah. Yeah.
again.
You reshare again. Yeah.
Can you see?
No, guys,
Oh yeah.
it is
Can you-
loading. It is trying. Loading. Yeah, now we can see. Yeah.
Okay. Now I was trying to I have this 2024. You can see labor budget or quarter. I mean budget
Mhm.
versus actual I wanted to show.
Okay.
So this is the labor and above is the budget which shows forecast. So now I tried to put sales into this budget. Okay. Sorry. Let me.
Okay.
Now you see. Oh, how did it come now?
Now you have
Now
you
see
selected this.
in
Okay.
2024 all it's showing one value, but actually it's not a one value. You see quarter one, quarter two, it's all one value is showing it in the budget.
So when it is showing all one value,
Mm.
and again this months is coming from which table? The x-axis months.
Here in the forecast.
Okay. So now basically this months is disconnected from your labor table, labor 2024, where the sales is coming up,
Yes.
right?
But yeah,
So so there should be a connection first. So you what a simple solution should be, you should use a date master, and with the date master join these two tables, and into the x-axis bring the months or quarter dates from the date master, so that it can equally filter both the figures from both
yeah.
the
Now
tables.
now I remember Akhilesh showed me you can, he has some formula where he showed me date master, like where you can put in any of your data. Okay.
Mm, mm, mm.
I tried to load the date master because he shared the text of date master,
Okay.
but I don't know how to do that in Power BI. If you can
Okay.
show me, would be
Sure,
great.
sure.
Okay. He
Good.
showed me one of the class, but I can't really remember.
Okay. I have another date master. Uh,
Mm.
it is more simpler. Means simpler in the sense it is less code. Let
Okay.
me share that file. Okay.
Shall I
Put it in
stop
the chat.
sharing my screen
You can
or you want?
no, keep it there because I will
Yeah.
guide you the steps. Let me put that file. Okay. I have shared the rolling calendar. You can use this calendar. Download this rolling calendar and copy the entire code from it.
Yeah.
Or I will also show you if shall I share my screen?
Yeah, that would be better. I will just
If you
disconnect
can.
it. 1 second. Yeah.
Oh, I can share my screen. Okay, you all can see my screen, right?
Yes, physical.
Yeah. Okay. So this is a file which I had shared. This is a calendar table. So we just need to copy the entire stuff inside that. Go to your Power Query window. Okay, Power Query window, and under this you can see in new source, and there's a blank query.
Oh yeah.
Okay, under the home, new source, blank query. And this time let's click on this advanced editor. Only this is just one time job, so you just need to click on advanced editor. It will already have some few default steps. Just remove that and paste this code. Okay, so this calendar is starting from 2021. If you want to have a start date starting from 2022 or 23 or even 2020, any year you can define it. So from that year it will start your calendar, and up to which date it is very dynamic, in the sense means it is current year plus 3 years. So it will follow, means this date year combination is put in such a way that it will be from starting from 2021 until 2027 December 31st. Okay, so we
That's
just
plus
don't
4 states, plus 4 years.
plus 4 is actually nothing, means here this is actually date function. Okay, so in the date,
Okay.
see, this is actually year, month, day. Okay,
Mm.
so and when you encapsulate into this hash date, it will actually generate a date. So again, what I'm doing is datetime dot local now will give me current system date, so which is actually 4th of July. So it is extracting date dot year is extracting the year, so I get 2024, and to it I'm adding plus 4, so 2028. So 2028 Jan 1st. So when you subtract it, you actually get 1 day less. So it will actually give you up to 31st December 2027. But you don't need to get into the details of it. It is already done. There is a predefined calendar which can be used in any dashboard, I mean, whichever has your date time related stuffs, you can use this calendar. Simply go done, and all the columns, everything is automatically got generated. It is already there. Just go back. You can just say it is my master date calendar, whatever name calendar also you can give, and just close and apply. And here is your date table. So just join with the date. This date
Yep.
is the main field. So date to date of your two tables, join with this and done. And then use this field in your x-axis so that it will automatically filter it up both of the sides. So whenever you see same values repeated across bars, or when you are doing a table or a matrix, first thing, relationship is missing. They are not related. First thing.
Yeah, so that means it's always better you use the data table, data master,
Always
or
use a
any
master.
of
Exactly.
filter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Then you just do the relationship, right?
Perfect. So try it up and then it should work.
Sure. I'll
Yeah.
do. Yeah.
Hi, Vineet. This is Mrinal.
Yeah, Manal.
A similar question, what I see on the screen means, case we are writing anything in Power Query, you just showed us and you just shared us the rolling calendar codes also. Is it possible somehow to save this code within Power BI and just fetch this table as and when required, or every time we need to fetch the code and this table need to recreate?
In different dashboards, you need to create it every time. Okay. So
Okay.
means I used to save this file with me every time. For any dashboard, it's a one-time job for that
Yeah, I
dashboard.
understand.
So I copy it. So whenever you actually, when you extract it, there are two ways. Um, Means even if you have written any other query and you want to keep it as for your reference, then I would suggest, instead of going to advanced editor and copying the code, always copy the code from here directly. The tables which you see over here in the Power Query, right click and click on copy. The advantage which you get over here is your table might refer different other tables for the purpose of merging or appending or anything. Okay, so in one table, you have multiple steps. You can have 15, 20, 25 steps. So by right clicking and copying this, it actually copies the code of all your child tables, which is being referenced in the main table, in case if you have any. So it is always a good thing to copy from here, and then always go to and you will see the entire code, whatever it is being referring, everything will get copied over here.
Okay, thank you. That's it.
Okay.
It's very useful, by the way.
Yes, yes. This calendar is means
Yeah, true.
useful,
Because
very useful.
when I
One more
Google it,
thing you
that
need
was
to
everybody saying.
when
Yeah.
you need when you will do it. One more thing you need to do is the sorting the columns. Okay, because by default when you do it, the month name which you will use is actually alphabetically sorted. So there also it will come it as April as the first month. So when you load it over into your model, go to your table view of that table. Let's say M date, and then the month name. You use the sort by column, and then use it with this month number. So automatically it will be not using that alphabetical order. Instead, it will be sorting based on this month sort order. Okay,
Okay.
so that would be useful. And when you're using this combination of text and year, then you can use this. I have put this month year sort order column. So you can use this month year to be sorted by month year sort order column. So it's a combination. So it's good to have this because all this 2-digit logic and everything is done already over here. So month 0102, which is only one digit, is already made to 2 digits by using the text.pad and all these functions in mQuery. So this is already created. So this will serve most of your requirements with all your dates related functions.
That's
Okay, so
very
the
good.
model
Yeah.
which was shown, model which was shown by Sherwin, so actually we can just run this code and a master table for date is generated. And for any date related things in Sherwin's, means I could see there are different sheets and so much of data is there. So every time whenever there is a date, we can link it back to this master sheet and
Yes,
everything
yes.
ideally should fall in place, correct?
Correct, correct.
Okay.
Yep. Anything else?
Thank you so much,
Vinit, I
Sumit
just,
sir.
sorry.
Yeah.
Vinit,
Go ahead.
you were supposed to show that transpose function, no? Only that you show, then we will wind up.
Transpose function is nothing. Mm, okay, so here, let me go to create query. Yeah. Transpose is by selecting the entire column, entire table, let's say entire table, and then you're just transposing it. So you're totally reverting it, the columns, rows into columns and columns into rows. And from here, see now since all the columns has been transposed, now any column, if the entire column is null, you can use this option for filtering up your remove blank rows. Actually will remove all your blank columns in one go. And then you again transpose it back. So that's how you can actually remove all the blank columns in between the data set. We have done this exercise in our live classes. Yeah,
Yep.
clear? Good.
Vinit, can I have 2 minutes of yours?
Yeah, please go ahead.
Okay, I'll share my screen and my query is very generic in nature. Probably everyone might
Yeah.
be able to relate to it.
Yeah.
So, okay. This I have means just let's not concentrate on look and feel of this visual. Just
Mhm.
what I want to show you is, for example, I have created something similar and now I need to add data. So this one is only for quarter 1. And now I have my files ready for quarter 2. My question is how I can add. So I have already downloaded the file, which is in the same format, and I want the file to follow the same steps which I have already done in my Power Query steps. So how
Okay.
to go about it?
So, just to recap, you are saying that now you have already this table and you want to
Yes.
use this calendar master.
No, what I
Oh,
want is, means I already have data for quarter 2 with me now, which is in a
okay.
separate Excel.
Okay. Okay.
Now I want to combine this my already existing data for the new upcoming data. How can I do that? So I have already saved this file with the name like AD test link. So I just wanted to close this and reopen. And if you can take me from the beginning that, okay, how I can export it. If it's a time-taking activity, we can leave it. If at
I
least
just
if you
need
can
to
just tell me
understand
the
the
step.
data. So this currently I could see only one table, right? So in the one table you have this. Can you select the first visual? First visual. Select it. Let me see. Okay, so from this date, request creation date, you have extracted this the default hierarchy of year, quarter, month, day. Fine. Some of this. Okay. So now,
This data is it's quite clean. So I need not to do much of cleaning here. But my
okay,
first requirement is to add quarter two.
okay. So right now it is quarter one only. You were
Yes.
saying, okay, and quarter two is already there in your.
Say if I
Okay,
show
so
you,
this is understood, understood. Quarter one,
so
and
April, May means I can add June also here, but let's assume this is for quarter two. So this is what currently is shown on the screen, January to March.
January to March is only shown over here. Is there any other
Yes.
filters applied over here? Can you
Maybe very,
click on
very
that?
few. Yeah.
And
Uh, I think there are one or two filters.
those filters, is these filters are filtering up to the quarter one only?
Yes. Yes. Means actually it's across.
Mm, okay. And can you click on the filter of that visual itself? I just want to see the filters applied on the visual. It's a filter icon on the visual. Third last. Yeah. So filters
Okay,
is
it
like
says there are not any filters applied here.
as of
Uh,
now. Okay. Need to see the data. Um, can we see the data in the data column, that data table?
this one, table view.
Yeah, table view. And the column which you have used over there is the request creation date or the
Yes.
this one, right? So
Yeah, creation date. Means
okay,
I have not touched upon the time because that is my level 2 analysis, what I'll do.
no problem.
But I just
So
want to fix the basics first and want to understand
can
how
you
to
click on
add
this
the month on a month
filter of this
basis.
date? Can you click on this filter? Means you want to see the unique values.
It's all,
So
it will be a daily value until,
up
means it
to
will be around 91 days. Yeah.
March only the data is there, right?
Yes.
Okay, okay, fine. So now automatically when your next month comes, so the quarter two information would be available in this visual.
No,
But
that's
you
what.
actually, but you
Here what I
actually,
have done. Yeah. So
hmm,
I'm sourcing the view that you see, I'm sourcing from here.
okay,
Okay. And now I
yeah.
have already placed this file. Now my question is, how can I add other 2 months here? How can I fetch data from there? And
Okay.
next follow-up question is, do I need to repeat all the steps or it will automatically take?
Automatically take means you are saying that if the say currently you have the Jan to March data, but now if April May data comes, will it automatically take it or not?
Yes. And will it follow the same steps? So I have already done some steps in the Power Query to
Yeah,
clean it.
that we need to check in the Power Query what steps you have used, and
Uh-huh.
if it is coming from the same sheet, if it is a single sheet, and if you append more data into it for the further future months, then it will automatically pick it up. There wouldn't be any
Okay.
issues.
So, but if it's a
Or if you,
time-taking thing, we can leave today because it's already 1.5
yeah,
hour session.
yeah,
Or
means we
means
just need
this
to
is
check it
something.
in your Power Query
Okay.
steps. Then we can
Okay.
comment on it, like in future how the data will come automatically, or will it show any issues?
I think what I understood is Mrinal was asking, Mrinal, if you wanted to have second quarter data, that has to be initially feed into your original Excel sheet. Then if you put like whichever the Excel sheet you have used here, if you feed it there, then you don't need to do anything. Automatically from Power BI, all the data will be, you just
Automatically.
need to refresh it.
Correct.
Okay. So what you are saying, instead of creating a new Excel here, if you can see my screen. So what I need to do, whatever data is here, I simply take this data, copy paste in the same reference file. And when I click a refresh here, it should automatically take it, correct?
Correct. Yeah,
Yes.
that's what I did
Okay.
it also.
Okay, let me give a try, because as I mentioned, this is an export from a system which is quite neat. But in the last session, I asked a few questions based on which I have just cleaned it and it's working fine. So if that also works, I'm okay with it. Instead of creating more steps or creating complications in Power BI itself, if copy pasting in the same Excel works, I think
Yeah,
we should
if you
use a
just put
simpler
few
step.
records also, you can try it now itself. Yeah.
Okay. After one point of time, I think there will be a limitation in terms of Excel also, because Excel won't be able to handle more than.
Yeah.
So
How
this one is
many, what is the file size? Means how many rows are there
currently
currently?
we have 129,000, and
Okay.
means month on
Mhm.
a month basis, you can expect something like 50,000, 50 to
Okay.
60,000. So if I
Keep
go
it
here
in
and
keep it in separate files and read it from the folder. That would be easy.
okay, okay, I was going through the course material in which I found this thing, but I just want to understand what are the different methods which can be adopted for this. So using folder is one of that. So
Yeah,
I have
using
just
folder should
pasted,
happen.
yeah. So here what I have done now, just for a quick sake, I think it's slow. Okay. I have added this April data also. You see, March data ended here, and I've added April also.
We are seeing
So
the Power
now,
BI
if
screen
I,
only.
sorry,
We are seeing only the Power BI screen.
okay, I'm sorry.
No issues.
So I'm sorry, I thought you are following my steps. Anyways, what I have done, in the same file, I have added data for another 2 months, April and
Good. Great. The structure is same. You
May.
just appended the data below that last record,
Yes,
right?
yes, I just added.
Perfect.
Now, if I press refresh, ideally, should it work?
Yes, yes. You just, if
Okay,
you have
let's
saved
give
the
a try.
file, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I think this one is it's automatically Jan to Feb,
Yeah.
and yeah,
Quarter two is
that.
now showing up.
Okay, for the time being, I can manage with this, but there will be certain chances in which probably what we have discussed in today's
Yeah,
session also, one or
yeah,
two columns probably if they appear or something new appears, then we should be ready for it. So for the timing, this is fine. I will try to work on this, and in case I have any further questions, I'll ask you, Vineet. But for the timing, yeah, that this looks okay.
sure, sure.
This looks good. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
That's all from my side.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Manal. Okay. So if no more questions, shall we wind up?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, guys. Thank you very much for the session.
Thank you,
See
Vineet.
you.
Thank
Thank you.
you, Vinay. Thank you, Vinay.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. Bye.